Hi there, happy Wednesday. So, this week's topic is going to be on self acceptance. So, in short, self acceptance is embracing all of you, right? So, of course, there are many different parts of self acceptance, like there are many parts to several of the self care, self love topics. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to discuss the three that I believe are pivotal for growth. Growth and you being able to change what you don't like or remanufacture things that you want to improve and so forth. There's one that I'm not going to discuss here that I'm going to discuss on Friday with a gratitude giveaway, and that's gratitude for self. So that is a part of self acceptance, but I'm going to combine like the 2-minute tune up as well as a gratitude giveaway on Friday and give like a quick little mention about how important gratitude for self is, along with doing the gratitude giveaway on Friday. So, anyway, the first part of self acceptance is self awareness. That is you seeing yourself clearly, right? So, what does it mean to be completely self aware? It means that you're mindful of your thoughts, your feelings, your strengths, and your weaknesses without ever being in denial, right? You're not denying that this is what it is. You're able to be self aware on that. So, why is that important? It's important because you can't accept what you don't acknowledge. So, awareness is the foundation for all that growth. So, how can you practice being self aware, right? So, one, you can reflect on your emotions and your triggers. So, everyone is different. So, some people are auditory, some people are visual, some people are written. So, if you are auditory, do yourself a voice memo, right, to do that reflection. If you are a person that's visual, do a video. If you're a person that likes to have pen to paper, do a journal, right? So that's a way that you can practice, excuse me. And then you ask yourself, what am I feeling and why am I having those feelings? So notice patterns, right? You don't have to try to fix them, just notice, right? Just try to take notice of any patterns that you find yourself falling into. All right, so that's the first component, which is self awareness. The second is realistic self evaluation. The reason why I put the word realistic in there, because a lot of times we just don't fairly, evaluate ourselves. So, realistic self evaluation. And that's so you can judge yourself fairly. So what does that mean? So that means that you're able to balance that awareness with fairness, right? You're recognizing both your strengths as well as your limitations without any exaggeration. Why is it important? It's important because a lot of times we overinflate, which is also known as perfectionism, right? Which doesn't exist. No one's perfect. Or we undervalue, and that's also known as self-criticism, which that's not fair either. So fair evaluation will ground self-acceptance in truth, right? So how can you practice having fair self-evaluation, a realistic self-evaluation? So what I recommend is making 2 lists, right? So a list for strengths that you own and another list for weaknesses that you accept. So after you make that list, ask a trusted friend, like someone that will be, fair and not biased, or a family member that may not be biased, to say, hey, give me some kind, honest feedback on, these 2 lists that I made, to see if they sort of track for, what I am and what I represent. All right. And then challenge yourself to erase extreme thinking. So what do I mean by extreme thinking? So, when you say, God, I know I'm not going to do this right, or I know I'm going to fail, replace that, right? Replace it with, I struggled this time, but I have had successes in other times in this area. Give yourself some grace, in other words. All right. And then lastly, it is forgiveness. Forgiveness is huge. That's releasing the weight, right? So what does that mean? So that means that you let go of guilt, you let go of shame, resentment towards yourself for any past mistakes that you've made. We've all made mistakes. There's not anyone walking this earth that hasn't made a mistake. So why is that important? It's important because forgiveness, awareness, and evaluation, well, without forgiveness, awareness and evaluation can become self-punishment, right? If you don't embrace those components of self-acceptance. So forgiveness makes that room for growth. How can you practice that? This is corny, but you can write yourself a self-forgiveness letter. Or if you're not into that, you can recite it in your head if you don't really want it written down for someone to retrieve it. Whatever works for you, right? So it's just giving yourself like a playback of the reasons why you forgive yourself. So replace any blame that you have with compassion, right? I did the best that I could with what I knew back then, something sort of like that. And then when the guilt does resurface, and oftentimes it will, remind yourself that that chapter is closed and you are starting to rewrite a new one right now. All right, so just to go ahead and wrap that all up, to tie it all together, think of it as like a rhythm. So like maybe a 3-part rhythm for self-acceptance, or compared to like music, right? So when you first hear music, you hear the beat, right? Or you feel the pulse. You start finding that melody, and then you dance freely. So the same thing with self-acceptance. You have that self-acceptance, that self-awareness where you start to recognize, right? And then you have that realistic self-evaluation where you find that balance. And then lastly, you're able to see yourself, you're able to forgive yourself. So it's that freedom piece of it, right? So in other words, awareness shows you the truth, right? Evaluation keeps it real, but only forgiveness will set you free. All right. So you may ask yourself, why is self-acceptance so important? It's really, really important. And I'm going to discuss how important it is in another self-care topic. But the reason why self-acceptance is really important because it is the main preventer of self-sabotage. So if you've noticed like at some point that you've had behaviors that were self-sabotage, that means your self-acceptance wasn't in check. All right, because without self-acceptance, people often get trapped in cycles of perfectionism, comparison, guilt, shame. And then those cycles fuel procrastination, destructive habits, toxic relationships, and also missed opportunities. So self-acceptance breaks that cycle because when you see yourself clearly and you judge yourself fairly, you're able to forgive yourself fully, you stop working against yourself. So simply put, self-acceptance prevents self-sabotage. So in doing so, you open the door to peace, growth, and living authentically. So I hope this has spoken to someone who maybe has struggled with self-acceptance, or maybe someone who is like, hey, I'm already there. I've been doing this already. I fully accept myself. Great. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and the rest of your week. Don't forget, the monthly gratitude giveaway is going to be on Friday. I'm also going to do the 2-minute tune-up and discuss a component of self-acceptance, which is gratitude for self, during that video. For those of you that have not realized it, I did post the Google form for those of you that want to be considered for the gratitude giveaway. I posted it Monday in a community post, so the Google form is out there. I'll try to remember to put it in the description box here as well. But for anyone that has chimed in and commented to each video that I've put out since the last gratitude giveaway, make sure that you get that filled out and select the gift that you would like to receive for your participation and showing up to say, hey, you want to mention how self-care and self-love is applicable in your life. So anyway, take care and be well. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and the rest of your week.